So there was that tragedy that happened in Colorado at the gay nightclub. Just another mass shooting. Just seems like a everyday occurrence in America, which I can go into detail and just rehash all the same arguments I said about the last time and just constantly, remind people that I've lost all emotional empathy for this because things have not changed and things will never change. And it's never going to change because our whole entire economic system and our entire cultural system is built based on violence and based on design. That these mass shootings continuously occur because we profit off the violence. We have a death economy. We, pump out the war machine. We do bloodshed all over the world and we cheerlead and take pride of it. And people are shocked and doing thoughts and prayers when it happens here at home. Like, it's just ridiculous. I mean, it's still tragic. Like, I'm not completely, dark souled or have no heart for the victims that died that day. Like, I understand that, but it also just seems like a waste of time and just seems redundant to continuously say I mourn these people, considering we just mourn, the last mass shooting or the one that just happened at a Walmart in Oklahoma, I think I just saw the other day. Like, it's just an ongoing occurrence that there's not even a point to mourn. There's not even a point or time or energy or really not. There's no point. Like, there's no situation to have that remorse. But there's a lot of new details emerging about this particular shooting, and especially this video that just recently came out. And supposedly it's a local news station in Colorado that was able to track down the shooter's father, the estranged father. And they got an interview with him, and he had some words about this particular shooting. And he knows that it's his son. He knows that he was the one that did it. And there's a lot of different reactions to this. But we'll just take a listen. Take a listen, and we'll react after.
Involving, there were multiple people,
right?
And then later on to find that it's a gay bar.
Yeah, right. And
I was like, oh my God, is he gay? As a scared, oh my God, shit, is he gay? And he's not gay, so it's
well, you guys had conversations about that. You were.
Oh yeah,
you
I was adamant
told him. Yeah, you were adamant that gay is bad.
Happening. I'm a Mormon. I'm a conservative Republican, and we don't do gay. We don't do gay.
Yeah.
I can't get answers from the attorneys really, but they're saying that somebody's it's involving a gay bar or some shit. I don't know. I don't know what the heck he did at a gay bar. I don't know what's going on.
Well, he's accused of going on a mass shooting at a gay bar and killing 5 people.
Colorado.
Okay, well, that's shit. If he's accused of doing that, I'm glad he's not gay. I should say that, but I'm glad he's not gay.
So that's the estranged father saying that he is more worried about his son being gay than him being a violent killer. In fact, it almost sounded like he was applauding the violence. That he was kind of, relieved that, well, at least he went in and shot some people instead of just having a different sexuality. All I can really say to this, honest to God, all I can say about this is I feel sad. I feel really sad that this is kind of the mindset that people can go to. That because of, being deep-rooted in whatever ideology or belief system or anything like that, you rather have your kid become a ruthless murdering killer and kill innocent people that were just having a good time at a nightclub, just like any other venue in Colorado Springs. It could have been a restaurant, could have been a church, could have been a shopping mall, could have been a school. No matter what, it could have been anything. This kid went in, shot people in public, and his biggest concern was he thought he was going in the nightclub to be gay. Have no reaction to being a violent killer. And I just feel sad. I feel really sad because this happens more often than you think. And this is kind of what I've been saying throughout the entirety of every time we see a mass shooting, is that we've just become culturally acceptable to these tragedies. That instead of looking at them as a systematic problem that needs to be dealt with and needs to be examined and looked into, we kind of just go through the motions and expect it to go away, and then at some point it's just going to rehash once again. You know, how many more victims, how many more school kids have to be shot up until we sit down to realize, hey, why are people killing each other in the United States of America? I don't know. Maybe it's because the United States of America has oppressed, manipulated, and screwed people for such a long time that they're devastated, that they're reaching a brink of no return, and then you throw weapons at them and expecting them not to kill each other. It's a mental asylum, for God's sakes. Your country is a mental asylum. You give them a bunch of weapons, expect them not to kill each other, and guess what happens? Now, we can go into arguments about, guns and registration. I happen to believe in background checks. I don't believe in taking the guns away. But I've been on the fence for a long while about that, and will still continue to be on the fence. I personally, I think guns are not necessary. I don't think they're a necessary object that people definitely need. I understand the purpose. I understand people need, that protection. But there are other means to self-protect yourself. There are other means. There's other ways of dealing with issues and dealing with, protection and safety and security for your family. There's other ways and processes to do that. I just don't think it's necessary, but I'm not gonna be the ones that are, in favor of taking all the guns away, because I know the results of that too. I don't want, the government overrule. I understand that. And I understand the Second Amendment. But are you really practicing the Second Amendment when you're shooting up school kids? Are you really practicing the Second Amendment when you're going to a nightclub that people are just having a good time and you're shooting that up? The Second Amendment is supposed to stop the tyranny of the government, and nobody's done anything on that. When was the last time someone actually, practiced the Second Amendment as accordingly? But people could preach it like it's some sort of biblical quote. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just Canadian, so maybe I'm a outsider voice to it. I don't really understand it, but I don't know. We have the guns here in Canada. We have people that are mentally ill. We have people that are doing God knows what, and a lot of problems here. But somehow we don't have the mass statistics that the United States does. I don't know. Maybe that's something to do with universal health care. Maybe it's something to do with the cultural situation. That we're not the, world's police. We're not doing genocide after war bombing, after killing and screwing and slaughtering nation after nation. Maybe that's something to do with it. And people have just become so acceptant to it that this happens. That the father of the shooter is okay with his son being a ruthless killer because I thought he was gay. Oh, thank God. Because we don't do gay. We don't do gay in our family. Just no sympathy, no respect for the lives that were lost that day or the victims that suffered. That's why I kind of get frustrated and get pissed off when anyone uses the term pro-life. Because here's a guy who I'm assuming is deeply religious and probably pro-life and, cares about, not having abortions and the fetus and babies should not be killed and stuff like that, which there are arguments about that. We can argue about that later. But if you're pro-life, if you say what you are, why are you not having sympathy for the people that died on the behest of your son? Why are you not having sympathy for the, the murders and the bloodshed that the United States empire is doing to the rest of the world? We have the biggest penal colony. We have the mass incarceration rate 10 times higher than the entire globe. The United States alone has 5% of the world's population, but also has 25% of the world's prisoners. How do you explain that? We torture people. We do unhumane, unspeakable things to people. So this is what it comes to. And this is why it's sad. Really is sad. As the Daily Mail is pointing out, violence works. According to him, according to the father, he says violence works. Colorado club killer's porn star dad says, I praise him for his violent behavior, as he reveals in his biggest worry that his son might be gay after discovering he killed 5 people in an LGBTQ nightclub. Your biggest concern is your son's identity. Your biggest concern is who he sleeps with versus him actually being a ruthless killer. What's more endangerment? What's more dangerous to society? Him being allowed to be happy and well off and being an individual, which I thought that was the whole point of America. I thought that was the whole point. The individualism in you. You're allowed to express yourself. You're allowed to be who you want to be. But now we've just corrupted ourselves to the point that we rather have killings in the streets and people, suffering and bleeding and bloodshed and tyranny than acceptance and tolerance. Like, I just don't understand. And it's been years in the process, and this is all built by design. So Colorado gay club shooter is non-binary. That's the other thing to note. And that's been brought up. And uses they, them pronouns, lawyer says, as it's revealed by a strange father who is an MMA fighter and a porn star named Dick Delaware. Which, if you're going down that direction, could you not use the Hannah Montana motif? Well, like, if you're gonna pick a stage name for yourself, Delaware. I get the alliteration. I get why he did that, but Delaware, that's the little state. I would have went with, Texas, Montana, California. It's a large state. Dick Delaware. That's just crazy. And then also to note too, just reading some of the bullet points here. Anderson Lee Eldridge, 22, is suspected of murdering 5 people and injuring others at Club Q in Colorado on Saturday. The suspect's original name was Nicholas Franklin Brink before he changed it to Anderson Lee Eldridge in 2016. According to a petition, the name change was meant to protect himself from his future from any connections to his birth father, Aaron Brink. That was the guy that just said he's relieved that his son is not gay. So he had to change his name and his entire identity because his father is a psychopath. His father is a sociopath. And how many children have been damaged and become violent killers and become ruthless thugs or commit crimes because of stuff like this on the regular. None of that ever gets mentioned in any of these mass shooting debates. We hear a lot about guns. We hear a lot about mental issues, which I agree. Both issues are important to mention. But to all the conservatives that scream mental health, where's the funding for it then? Why are we not putting funding towards this? Why are we not emphasizing our budget for mental health care so that people don't become ruthless killers, so that we can function in normal society without these bloodsheds? But America doesn't want to do that. America doesn't want to do that because we profit off it. We have a death economy. It's the cycle of violence in America, and it's what we're doing abroad is also happening back here at home. And supposedly the father, just reading the last point here, he also appeared on camera on the reality shows Divorce Court and Intervention in 2009 when his fiance tried to get him to stop using crystal meth. So you got a drug addict MMA fighter who does porn, who's apparently a Mormon conservative that's angry at his child, the child had to change his name because he was worried about confronting his father of being gay or non-binary. No wonder this kid, like, honest to God, no wonder why this kid is so messed up. No wonder why this happened. And there was a lot of red flags. Nothing was mentioned. Maybe because the United States wanted this to happen. Maybe because we continue this cycle. We continue the media coverage so we can fear more people, so we can scaremonger, so we can do propaganda. Then people go and buy more guns and then they shoot up more places. Like I said, it's all built by design. And I just want to leave off with this excellent point that Ryan Knight points out. Because this should be said on every single occasion, anytime you see any coverage of mass shooting. He says, no other nation in the world is producing this many mass shooters because no other nation in the world has a political and economic system that breeds as much inequality, terror, and violence as the United States. That right there is exactly why we're in the situations we're in now. Why you see every single night of violent acts of terror towards one another because of this. And none of this ever gets addressed. None of this ever gets addressed. And just a little fun fact for you, because this reminds me of the time that I watched Bowling for Columbine, which is a great documentary produced by Michael Moore when he used to be a really good filmmaker, and I was actually proud and wanted to follow in his footsteps. That's why I kind of wanted to get into, television film production, because I thought it was such a fantastic documentary before he became a Democratic shill that he is now. Did you know that Columbine High School, which was located in Littleton, Colorado, which they claim was the worst mass shooting in the decade. At that time, it was considered one of the worst mass shootings, school shootings of the decade. Did you know in Littleton, Colorado, what the number one employer of that city was? A factory that makes missiles and weapons of mass destruction for Lockheed Martin. Not car parts, not VCRs, not computers, not hospital beds, not manufacturing little Hello Kitty stickers. Manufacturing weapons of mass destruction to kill other human beings. That is the number one employer of Littleton, Colorado, which was down the street from the school. That same school that got shot up, that people were so goddamn concerned that two psychopathic teens drove up to the school and caused havoc to innocent teenagers. Like I said, this is systematically built in by design because of stuff like this. Because Ryan Knight points it out perfectly that no other nation is breeding this much inequality, terror, violence, destruction, despotism on its people than the United States. And when you have that much insanity, literally a mental asylum, and then you give those people a bunch of guns and ammunition or knives or whatever and expect them not to kill each other, you just open Pandora's box. And you wonder why we're in the situation now. That's why I'm just frustrated. I'm just annoyed with people saying thoughts and prayers. Oh, why? How could this happen again? Because no one's willing to look at the root cause of all this. No one's ever looking at the root cause of mass violence, on crime, on any of it. Because somehow in other countries, they're able to figure this shit out. But the United States of America, they just swept it under the rug, expect people to be in fear and panic, and the situations get worse. The mass shootings are getting worse. So, America, you either have to deal with it and just live on and expect a mass shooting every corner, or you get smarten up and realize your system is doing this to you. That we're breeding a bunch of psychopathic people to kill one another because the system designedly, purposely does that to its citizens. The United States, imperialistic, oligarchical empire that's destroying and putting oppression on people, causing this to happen. It's your choice.